For example, the totally absurd concept of global climate change, which evolved from global climate warming scan, is used, and its primary function is to provide a basis for legislation all about controlling water and the concept of management of resources. The use of distribution of wealth from the recovery of natural resources assumes that the government has the right to decide and design who is eligible to harvest those resources. This model has one flaw. The entities who profit, no matter what model of government is considered here, they control the governing agencies and create a monopoly based on distribution of the natural resource. They create the policy that maximizes their profits and creates the maximum cost to the paying public. The monopoly also has no conscience regarding the planned future of this commodity. Coupled with man's innate need to compete, guarantees the resources will be extracted and used at the maximum rate possible without any consideration of our future generations. It took 2 generations to use all the iron ore from the great Mensa mines of northern Minnesota, being justified by the owners who also sponsored the 2 world wars of 1900s, by the way. The owners of the Reserve Mining Corporation just happen to be the same owners of the Fed system that in 2013 took over the National Bank of the United States of America and initiated the taxation of individuals to pay for those wars. The wars conveniently created the necessity, the market for the amount of steel that would be manufactured from raw iron ore. Only problem is that we have used up all of these valuable resources, and like all other resources that have been used up and destroyed, we have nothing left for future generations. I call the 1900s the Black Century because that's what it was. Vast amounts of energy were used and wasted for things that in retrospect have no lasting value whatsoever. Unlimited pollution reigned during this time, and future generations are also left with this legacy to deal with, since it was never included in planning sessions or government oversight, or lack of oversight, to clean up the messes created by this corporate greed and the maximization of profit. Turnaround. Now, around the turn of 1900s, a man named Nikola Tesla created most of the technology we now use today to operate our electrical grid. It is self-managing using diodes. Diodes are the electrical current elements that allow current to pass in one direction while blocking it in the other direction. They can also be designed to limit current so that if a surge occurs on the grid, elements or sections can shut off instantaneously and protect the next section from being affected. In my monitoring of the world grid, I looked into telecommunication industry over the last couple decades, and I've seen the grid shut down many times as surges came from solar flares and other sources. And the modern smart grid concept is not necessary because the grid already has all the protection it needs. The push to insert a smart or intelligent grid at our expense, of course, has one use and one use only. It is to monitor every drop of electricity used by the public and quite simply monitor us. And there's a deeper side to the story of Tesla. And there's a lot of detail here, which I won't go into, but I'm going to summarize it here. Because once again, the public is forced to pay for energy at unbelievable expense when none of this is necessary at all. Tesla sold his three-phase generator and AC, alternating current technology, to Westinghouse, who began the first grid and electrical distribution in the U.S. He won the contest over the Edison DC current model, and the future was actually set. Conversion of burning coal to create electricity was the way of the future, and guess who was in charge and poised to make all the money anyone could ever imagine as the public became energy dependent? Yeah. Again, it was the banking families that would own energy and manipulate it and control it for endless profit and power over us. Tesla, in his contract with Westinghouse, had a very simple clause that was not noticed nor understood. It stated that Tesla would be able to request and pull large amounts of power from the Westinghouse grid at times, but after the usage, Tesla would put the power back, and he would be able and allowed to do this for free. Sounds simple, right? What Westinghouse did not know was that Tesla had a design for a large energy capturing device that could tap into vertical electrical field of this earth, extract free, naturally occurring electricity to power up his tower. And I think I put up a picture. If not, I'll put it up, but you can look up Tesla Tower circa 1905. Tesla needed lots of energy. So rediscovering the real work of Tesla and future, and further this knowledge by identifying the source of the vertical electrical field as the discharge of solar capacitor, the solar capacitor, I mean the sun, by the earth, was something that Tesla was actually unsure of, but people are working on today. But I'm sure you've seen it. Anyway, the tower. Essentially, it was a long, very large, extremely alternating AC, high voltage radio transmitter. The rods on the top carry this voltage, so to speak, into the atmosphere above the tower, which causes the dielectric molecules in the atmosphere to flip in unison with the alternating electric field. As this process works its way upward into the vertical electrical field of the earth, it takes more and increasingly more power. So the request that Tesla could use large amounts of power from Westinghouse grid, which Tesla needed to power up his tower. I call this drilling an electrical hole in the atmosphere. When the electrical hole reaches the atmosphere top, the ionosphere, there is a huge surge of current locked into the earth to the ionosphere, and it's a capacitor, and it begins to drain down the electrical path. At this point, Tesla Tower became an electrical collector, and if controlled, could provide unlimited electrical power forever. Tesla would replace the power he originally took from the Westinghouse grid, completing his part of the contract with Westinghouse. And well, as the story has it, Westinghouse was not very happy when they found out what he was up to. Sorry guys, apparently there's an emergency out there. Tesla had sold him a white elephant for $4 million. But Tesla's success was short-lived as Westinghouse set up a group of goons and they tore down and destroyed the tower. Tesla lived a life of seclusion, died lonely death. None of the energy usage of the Black Century was ever needed. The Industrial Revolution, the auto industry, could have all been operated on free electrical power, that is passed by the earth every day of every year, and Tesla had the device to extract that power. With all the work that's been coming out about the electrical nature of the universe, many have not only rediscovered what Tesla was doing, but it provided both theoretical model and an identified source of energy, the solar electrical field, that has far more energy than anyone could ever need or use. It is also well known that the Bush family changed their name from Schurf, who I've mentioned previously. Their name was Schurf. The following is taken from the deathbed confession of a man called Otto Scorsese, who was a master spy and assassin that came to the U.S. as part of Operation Paperclip, World War II. Otto was Hitler's personal bodyguard. At his death, Scorsese left a showbox of photos and a testimony that put the Bush family, the Schurf family, as the head of the newly found CIA in the USA, based on the model brought here from Germany of the SS intelligence agency of Hitler. The US version was started by one William Donovan and his sidekick, Alan Dulles. They wrote the text on government funding of military-industrial complex. Is it not curious that the father of the CIA, William Joseph Donovan, was awarded the very rarely awarded Lateran Cross from the Vatican? The inscription reads, well, I'm not going to read it in Italian. The medal is awarded for merit to those who have benefited the Holy See. Just what would Wild Bill Donovan have done to help seamlessly merge the U.S. intelligence with that of the Vatican? Well, just look at James Jesus Allington, CIA mother, who had a strong hand in the forming of the Mossad, yet another link from the Vatican to the State of Israel. So this is what I'm saying here. It is not correct to ascribe Zionist Jewish elements to the ultimate place in the conspiracy. They are proxies and high-level minions. Another connection is that young George H. Schurf, Jr., was taken in as a young understudy because of his father, George H. Schurf, Sr., was cited by Congress in the Trading with the Enemy Act of World War II, of supporting Hitler regime through bank loans and the movement of oil and other critical resources needed by Hitler, of course, for his war effort. Once again, the bankers of Europe supporting both sides of a conflict, as both nations, all nations, became deeply indebted with credit to run the war and guarantee many generations of Americans and English and everybody else, who thought they won the war, by the way, the Americans did, but they didn't, would be paying the bill far into the future with personal income tax. The sheriffs changed their name to Bush. George A. Bush, Jr. later became head of the CIA and still later Vice President under Reagan. Actually, Reagan was a figurehead.